Right now I'm standing in a ghost town, and this behind me, this the only standing structure that's left from anywhere close to the time of that town. And today we're going to take a look at it and make sure we get it fully documented. Let's go. This is plenty sturdy. So right now I'm in what was once a community in Georgia called New Hope. I have done several videos on this community in the past, and this barn has actually been in one of those videos in the past too, but only very, very briefly. And I wanted to come out here and make sure that I completely documented this like it should be. I've documented a lot of old ruins that used to make up this town. The short of it is, in the late 1800s, this town or community was largely destroyed by a tornado that came through here. I also did a special video of the cellar that saved a bunch of lives where people hid when that tornado came through. After the tornado destroyed so much of New Hope, the community dwindled. Farms were destroyed, houses were destroyed, and we see a lot of ruins out in the woods left over from that time period. After the tornado left this community largely decimated, people began to leave here and rebuild elsewhere. A lot of the ruins that you see don't date past the 1800s. This is an exception. The eventual total decline of New Hope was caused by the boll weevil when it came through Georgia and decimated cotton farming through here. During that time period, timber farmers came and bought the old cropland and turned it into tree farms, and it's been that pretty much ever since. But this barn right here, I kind of just ignored it the first time I was doing these documentaries on what was once New Hope, but I didn't need to do that. I needed to completely document it. And that's what we're going to do today. This barn was here as early as 1930. I don't know exactly how old it is, but I do know it was here in the 1930s based on an old aerial photo. And during the 30s, there were still some farms lingering in the community of New Hope, but by the 50s, it was nothing but woods. So this barn is a holdover from the absolute last farming activities that happened on this land, and we need to document it. So again, I don't know exactly how old this barn is. I would have guessed that it would be 1920s, 1930s. One clue that we can look at for kind of an idea of when this was built is the construction. Of course, it's built out of round nails, and the technology to create round nails was not invented until the 1880s. So we automatically know it's past 1880. And then stuff like these bolts through there, I think that that's going to be a little bit newer, you know, like at least 1920s. Let me know if you have any idea in the comments about that kind of construction, when exactly that would date to, but pretty sure 1920s at the oldest. And this barn is not going to be here much longer. Rot is really getting to it. So we are in kind of a side of the barn that maybe would have been used for animals. It looks like there used to be some stalls in here, and there is a lot of corn on the ground. And check out these amazing huge beams down here on the bottom of this building. Now, I think that these were probably reused actually from something else. See, there's marks in them that look like they were used for something else. Could have been an earlier New Hope structure that was repurposed. The namesake for the New Hope community, the old New Hope Church, was actually torn down in the 1950s, if I recall correctly, and was used to rebuild a barn. Now, it was not this barn that it was used to build, but another one. So obviously the people that were left here after New Hope was pretty much gone were using some of the leftover structures to build stuff like this. And if you've ever seen that pattern in the wood like that before, let me know what you think that that might be. There's a line there and like two squares cut out there, not like railroad ties. So obviously this side of the barn is collapsed, and this whole thing will be laying on the ground before too long. It's still pretty solid in the center, but the side, the front, it's going to go away. which is why I felt so important to come back out here and document this. This is not as old as the stuff that I usually document, but this is history too. You know, years from now when this is gone, we have it documented. Oh, this was a door right here. This whole panel was a door too. See where it's bolted together right there on that leaning foundation and that leaning wall. And then the front of the barn has fallen off too. And I didn't remember it looking like that the last time I was out here. So I actually looked back at my own video and saw that it had already started to fall off, but is all the way down now. So just that quick, it's going away. That you can see how the hayloft is kind of leaning down too right there. Well, I could call it a hayloft. I don't know. I'm not an expert on barns and how they were built. This is interesting right here. Look at this siding. So that is, I think that siding is like usually 1930s or something like that. It's got a little bevel right there. I jumped. There's a buzzard up on the roof. It's okay. It's okay. I jumped though. All right, front of the barn here. Another cool beam right there. And all the wood and tin just kind of falling apart. I mean, really cool construction. And some beautiful, beautiful wood in here. So I guess this center section, I'm sure there'll be some experts on barns here that'll tell me what's what, but I guess this center section is maybe what would you store a tractor in here or something like that, and or maybe that would be over here because there was no door on the front of that side, but there, well, no, there was not a door on either end of this either. I don't know. I'm sure there's some folks in there that know a lot more about barn construction than I do and could explain it to me. And then I got to jump back down to these big beams that are down here because look, you can really see. Well, let me make sure there's not a big old rattlesnake under that tin. Okay. You can really see the imprint that I'm talking about in this wood right there. And I don't know exactly, I can't picture what that would have been right there, but that definitely indicates that it was reused from something else. So if you have any kind of idea, definitely let me know down in the comments. It looks like railroad or bridge or something, to be honest with you. Now, this road that runs behind the barn, I mean, the road isn't here anymore, but it used to run down to the river, and there was a ferry crossing down there. But I don't know, almost looks like a bridge. And in some places, these boards look like they were hewn with like an adze or something, which would mean it's really old, but I don't know. See, I was looking to see, are these pegs in there? Because, see, there's a piece of wood in that one, but these are indented, whereas the other one is sticking out. I don't know, this is interesting. See, right here you can kind of see where it looks like it was rough-hewn old wood. Look at all the grains in that. And you buy wood that looks like that at Home Depot today. All right, so we're in the final section of the ground floor of this barn. But here's the thing, folks. You guys know it. I know it. And it just needs to be said. There is a loft above my head. And I need to know what's up there. And I can't avoid it anymore. Now, how did they use that loft originally? That's a serious question. And answer it for me in the comments, because I don't see a way to easily get up to it today. All right, so I'm still really taken by these beams on the ground right here. I don't know what it is, you know, what they were used for before, but they really fascinate me because I'd like to know where they came from. But that being said, right now I need to get up to the loft of this barn. And I need to figure out how to do that. Because why didn't they just build a ladder? Is that what that used to be right there? Actually, I think I see my access right now. There, and I'm up. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna break a leg today, and this looks perfectly stable, you know. All that rot right there, that's fine. Oh, this is gonna hurt. There's something's gonna break. I'm gonna fall. I get hurt. All right. Is this really the best way to get up here? Let me look first. I don't actually have to get all the way up there, do I? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not gonna go all the way up here. It is super cool to see this, but there's baby buzzards up here, and aside from it smelling absolutely awful, I don't want to disturb them. Pass me the camera. Okay. Don't tell me that there's something behind me right now. Like a big snake waiting on me or something. No, I don't see anything. Okay, so we're up here. There's a back door of the loft. And I get a good shot of the construction. Very simple, but very sturdy construction. Now if you look close over there, there's two baby buzzards that are hunkering down. But I'm not gonna bother you, so y'all are safe. I would climb the rest of the way up, but I don't want to disturb them. So we'll just stick our head in like this, and you know, maybe we'll climb up another day. That's it. It's the loft of the barn. All right, it smells really, really bad up here. Actually, I'm glad this thing just didn't collapse when I did that. Put all my weight on it. Okay, I made it. Big, wide, circular saw. Marks in that. That's an old piece of wood. What was this off of? Someone tell me down in the comments. So this is actually pretty interesting, and I almost just dismissed it and overlooked it. It was laying on the ground here. It says FERC projects, F-E-R-C projects, and it's got some numbers to it. I think there's actually two pieces of it. So I think that's going to be Federal Energy Resources Commission, if I remember that acronym right. And that was founded in the 1970s. So actually kind of an interesting story about this land that we're standing on right now is it is state land where it's a wildlife management area today. And it adds a whole nother layer to this whole New Hope community situation, because today this is a wildlife management area, which means it's state land with all these historic sites scattered out through here. Before that, it was farms, a community, and then the timber industry. But apparently Georgia Power acquired all of this land where New Hope used to be in the hopes of putting a nuclear power plant right beside the river, which is very near to us right now. And that nuclear power plant never happened, and I guess they are leasing it to the state, gave it to the state. Not exactly sure how that works, but somehow it wound up being state land. And I think it was around that time period, around the 70s, when they did that. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe it was the late 70s, early 80s that they were going to do that. There's another piece of it right there too. It's just leaned up against the, well, that side's rotted away. You can tell how long it's been there. So, I mean, this barn definitely predates that, but it looks like, you know, even they may have used the barn for a minute in their plans. This is circular saw marks, by the way, on this wood. You can see them going down. And those almost look like old square nail holes right there, which would add to my theory that this wood was reused from another New Hope structure. Yeah, those are square nail holes. More cutouts there. And, oh wait, I think there did used to be pegs in there. Huh. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay, it was 100% pegged. Because when you see the use of pegs in construction, it's generally pretty old. Whatever used these timbers was bigger than your average house that you would have seen out here in New Hope. Another thing that was nearby was a mill that was destroyed by the tornado that took the top off of the mill. So if they tore it down and reused some of this wood for that, could be the answer to our question. So what I think is super cool about that is those are ways that some of the old structures that used to be here live on. Now that rock work right there is interesting because that's older than this barn would be. But you know what, I think that they probably gathered rocks from the old rock building that used to be nearby, unless there was another building on this site before they built the barn. But that's not the case, because see this concrete that's in between the rocks? Unless they tried to repoint it, that concrete is the same as this pea gravel concrete that they've got these footers poured from. And that pea gravel concrete, again, that's, I generally see that around 1920s. But if we go up here, there's actually something really interesting that's on the side of this roofing metal. It says Tennessee Coal Iron Railroad Company, USS Tennessee V-Drain, United States Steel. How cool is that? I mean, how often do you see, because this tin has been up against the side of this barn, it hasn't gotten weathered and it's still like in new shape. But also, you know, this was a stack of tin, and how lucky is it that the piece that has all of this detail on it, it was on the outside and not on the roof and is rusted away or something. It's really cool. Leak-proof features. Triple cross crimp keeps rain from being blown under end laps. Pressure lip ensures close contact between overlapping sheets at end lap. The V-drain. This design of drain prevents leaks at the side laps. Rain blown or drawn under the lap by capillary attraction is caught in the V-groove and flows off the roof at the eaves. And I can't make out what that is. And then right here it says do not get wet while in bundles, store in warm, dry place. Then we have US letter patents, but we also have a diagram of where to nail it at. There, nail there, the V-drain. On outside crimp, nail at regular intervals, spacing, nails not more than 12 inches apart. On center crimp, nail near end lap only. Something first sheet. That's so cool. I've got no cell phone service out here, so I can't Google it. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video documenting this old barn here. Definitely super interesting and just another piece of history in these woods. And even though it's newer than what I usually like to document, it'll still be gone at some point in time, but we have it documented for future generations. And it's really the last chapter of the history of New Hope that directly relates to the community of New Hope right at the end of its life. So it really kind of closes the book on that.